Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening if it applies. And today's song of the month, I got actually a simple arrangement. I played the song a few times over the last month here and there, showing some cool features with it. And I thought I probably should just provide an arrangement for it. And I've got two different ways of doing it, depending on the organ you have. But before we get started, just a real quick announcement here before I forget. This is breaking news, everybody. Breaking news. Just announced literally. This was planned yesterday at 3 o'clock Arizona, 6 p.m. literally. And then last night I went home and put the email together, and I had to put schedule all these different emails, and one of the dates was wrong, but you'll get another one today. So I'm going to screen share. We have coming up starting tomorrow, we are going to have, and it says it right there, just announced. It means it was literally just planned, thought of yesterday. And we are going to have simply called a Lowry Virtual Spectacular. What is it, you ask? Well, they asked. How about anybody online? Do you want to know?
Sure.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
Yes.
One person. All right. It is, well, it says it right there. It's a special week of virtual product demonstrations featuring all of your favorite Fletcher artists and educators. These events are for all models and all skill levels, and the clinicians will perform great tunes, of course, and while demonstrating amazing features. Oh, you better have a pen and paper handy on their favorite Lowry models. Oh, so that means you're going to hear something different each day. And they will show you how these features will make your music come alive. Oh, this film feels educational and blissful all at the same time. So don't miss the event. Starting tomorrow, Sean Maloney and Robert Roman's going to kick it off. That's at 1 o'clock Arizona, 4 o'clock Eastern. Now, if you happen to be, if you'd like to stop by locally at the stores that are doing the event, feel free to do so, just like today. So if you happen to pop in here tomorrow at 1 o'clock, you can hear me do the event. Sean will, unless you want to drive up to Mesa, Sean will be doing his part. So we're going to go back and forth. We got we're going to both take turns on that show. And then on Thursday, Jerome is going to do his at 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock Eastern. Andrew Leach at Friday at 11 o'clock, 2 p.m. Eastern. And then Dazzling Dawn, Saturday the 30th at 10 a.m. Arizona, 1 p.m. Eastern. So don't miss it. Anyway, so into the class we go. Am I still sharing? Did I stop sharing? All right. So today's song is Cabaret. Now, I featured it a few times here and there, and I kind of mentioned the fake it feature when I did it, and then I went ahead and played the song, and then I thought, I was looking through all my music a little while back, and I thought, oh, wait a second. I have an arrangement that I started a long time ago, and I redid it a little bit for depending on the models. All right. So should I play it first? Yes? That's what I'll do. I'll play it first. Let's see. How about this one here? All right. Let's see what happens here. Oh, I need my music. All right. have to remember that whatever you guys say or do or applaud or whatever, they can't hear anything. So I have to repeat. So I had to put the applause and make it look like you guys were all applauding for me. All right. So, couple things. First thing I'm going to do is you got the music, right? Hopefully you printed it out or you have a copy of it. If your printed out copy should have the A1s, 2s, 3s, 4s, and the 5s. I have a real simple, do you need a copy? Okay, so the music, let me pull that up here. You'll notice that I have A1 here, but what I started to do, and I kind of feature this in some events over the last month, the one thing I'm going to ask you to do is if you do this alternate introduction, and the alternate introduction is if I like to use sometimes the fake it feature before I play the song. Okay? So in other words, rather than picking a rhythm style or setting up the organ with a rhythm, all right, and then having it play, and that's the introduction, what I like to do is get the fake it going here and have it do its own little thing. All right, now there's a couple ways to do this depending on the model you have, all right? So the trick to this is the fake it that I want the fake it to sound kind of bluesy, if you will. So what's the first chord in the song? Okay, I had some people here say F. Is that true? There's 5 heads shaking their head no. You must have got the second version. No, I'm just kidding. It's an F. Now, if I play an F chord and I do the fake it, it's not going to sound so bluesy, if you will. Okay? So what I do in the organ, before I play, I'll set it up, get it set up in advance and hit an F7th chord. And all I simply do is just that, all right? And then I stop it, and then I put the introduction and I get it all ready. Okay? Now, once that's set up and you decide to use the fake it button, any notes that you either play, you wiggle, the auto fake it, depending on the model you have, the notes will play it in a more bluesier fashion. Okay? So if I were to do it manually, it would have to be something like. All right, now, if you want to try it manually, I can give you some notes to work with. F, A, C, E flat, D. If you play those notes, you can kind of get a bluesy sound if you want to do it manually. But the trick to that is not just playing the notes, but it's phrasing. All right, now if you're using the fake it, you can just put it on if you want to do it manually, then you just tap it out. If you want to tap it out yourself, wiggle it. And then you're going to get probably some better notes to work with. Okay? Or some of you have the auto fake it, which I did over here. I don't know if you could see it when I was playing, but okay, that's holding the note. And then some of you have it where you can press 2 notes and it'll just kind of do its own thing. All right. Now, obviously, the sound that I have chosen to start off the song is a clarinet. Yes? Yes. Okay. But let me tell you the rhythm that I'm using. You can use one of 2 rhythms, works very nicely. Actually, take any kind of big band style, but the key to this is the tempo that I'm using is 192. Now 192 sounds fast, but when you're playing the melody, it's not going to feel that fast. All right? Now, when I first learned the song Cabaret, I did what we always suggest to a lot of people. If you're not too familiar with a song, go back and listen to it. And I listened to a recording by, who made that song most popular? Liza, right? And so I could play along with it. I wanted to transpose the organ, and coincidentally, My music was in the key of F, and the version that I heard was actually in the same key. However, so you don't have to transpose if you want. However, for this arrangement, I actually decided to transpose. I transposed it down 3 half steps. So the window actually says A. Okay? Now I'm not going to get in a whole class of this. This is always an hour-long class if I if I let the cat out of the bag too much if we start discussing it. But if the song's in F and you're going down 3 half steps, it's actually going to sound like you're playing in the key of D, even though it says A, okay? A is just visually what the organ will say. Okay? So transpose it down 3 half steps to if you have a transposer, and so that way their window actually says A. Okay, and there's a reason for that in some of the other settings that I'm going to talk about. Now, when I play the song, it depends on the rhythm style or the organ that I'm playing or happen to have, okay? So whenever I have an organ like a marquis or a grand marquis, I think even the symphony has it, there's a style called Cabaret. C-A-B space A-R-R-A-Y. Okay? Sometimes I'll use that rhythm, and sometimes I'll use the rhythm called Vegas Big Band. And they're actually very similar in nature as far as the drum beat, what have you. Now, musically, the band, they both have a lot of similar instruments, but they do play a little bit differently, which is really cool. Obviously, if you use Cabaret, the fill-ins and what have you all kind of fit nicely with the song. But you can turn around and use Frank and the Count. You can use a lot of big band styles just as long as you get the tempo right. 192 seems to be right. If that's too fast, slow it down a little bit, but not too much. All right. And most of the time when I play the song, whenever you hear one of us playing at a concert or we demonstrate it as a really cool style, you usually get all the works, the band, all the stuff happening in the background, and you get, this. So there's a lot happening. So for today, I wanted to take a different approach, especially for you guys. You made the effort to come here, so I have to do something different, all right? And you guys traveled very far, thousands of miles away, Minnesota, Florida, all right? So what I'm going to do is I wanted to create an arrangement a little bit differently, and the arrangement is the concept of after the clarinet solo introduction, we're going to take the rhythm style and we're going to take an arrangement and kind of just work our way up gradually, building the band, okay? So we're going to start off kind of simple, all right? And then we go to the next phase. We're going to build just a little bit, not too much, all right? And then in the middle part, we're going to make that band change a little bit of how they're playing, but not too much, all right? But when we get to the end, we're going to finish with something big, all right? So if you're using Vegas Big Band or Cabaret, after you selected the style and after you have chosen the tempo, and if transpose, I would say it's up to you, but you may want to do that, especially on the last setting, because depending on how your ears can take it, okay? And in any case, after you select the rhythm style, turn off Orchestra Plus, okay? Now, a lot of models have the ability to take a rhythm style like this, the Vegas Big Band as an example. No, that's Cabaret. Let's get it on the Vegas Big Band. Hear all that going on? lot going on. And then if you want, we could do something a little more simple. So I turned off Orchestra Plus, and that left me with your drummer, your bass, and in that case, nice guitar sound. Now here's the Cabaret. Normally Cabaret, most people would default to the original introduction because it's actually kind of modeled after the song. Okay, but if you take off Orchestra Plus, you might get something a little bit different. Pretty cool. Same introduction, just without so many band members and playing for you, and it just gives you a different way of playing the song. So I have that set up, and virtually all organs out there, most models have the ability to simplify the style. Okay, so you can pick your rhythm, pick your tempo, transpose if you want, put a clarinet on the top to start off with, and then just simplify that background. Okay, and then what happens is once I have it all set up that way, let me get the intro here. I want to make sure that it's in the F7. All right, and then if you decide to want to use the fake it, you can do it manually if you want. And if you do it manually, okay, those notes that I gave you, or you can do it with the fake it. I always wait to see if he makes a mistake, but he never does. And at any time, whether you're doing it manually or holding it or letting the auto fake it, at any time you're ready, go ahead and hit the introduction, and then you can stop the fake it at any point in time. So I'll let it go on for a little bit, and then start. Okay, so far so good out there. How about there on virtual land? No questions? Got a thumbs up? Okay, that's good. Well, typically the left foot switch does the bend, but most of the models, including yours, you may have the ability to change that. So sometimes people put it on the right. It just depends on where it's comfortable. Sometimes they can be shut off. Sometimes they can be set to do something else. It could be to do nothing. It could do what's called a next preset on some of the models. Jerome is your Roland expert, so if you have a question that I don't know how to answer, then you go, but I believe you can change those.
You can.
You can?
Yes, you can.
You heard it straight from over there and on here. And it's being recorded, so he can't go back now. All right, so the arrangement starts off real simply with a clarinet, and you're playing along. And then when you look at your first page, the music just tells you to repeat, right? Now, you ready for this? When I play the song, sometimes I use this arrangement, and people think I'm doing a lot of things. I'll play towards the end of the first setup, and then I'll go back and repeat. So here we go. Okay, now here's the second setup, repeat. Wow, something spectacular there happening. It sounded a little bit different, but it was enough, right? Do you know what I did? Would you like to know what I did? Yes. I pushed a preset. You got to have these presets. They're on sale today for $500 a preset. Well, if you buy an organ, I'll throw them in for free. Or you could buy the presets and I'll throw the organ, but then the price of the presets go up. All right, cut that out of the recording. All right. Real simply, all I did is remember I told you earlier, turn off the Orchestra Plus. For the second setup, all I do is I turn on the Orchestra Plus. I say this from time and time again. Sometimes make an arrangement, the misperception is to make an arrangement of the song, I have to change the sounds a lot. Okay? And sometimes that's part of it. I like to change sounds too. But sometimes if you do too many changes, I think it kind of takes away from the song. Those changes sometimes to me happen in different parts of the song like you're going to hear today. And in this case, I use the clarinet for the melody the first time around and the second time around and in the introduction if that's the way you want to go. The only thing I changed was the background. So here's the first part in this case. That's the way the introduction is. And if you really want to have some fun, try your introduction too from time to time. All right, now let's listen to the band. Real simple. All right, now here's the second setup. Ready? And that's it. So when you're playing the song, people don't notice, like right now if you're just listening to it, it's kind of a little bit different. But when you're hearing the song being played, you go from one transition to the other, it just magically sounds like it's building a little bit. The minute you do that, guess what you become? You become a professional arranger, not just an arranger. She said arranger. I corrected her. You become a professional arranger. What is a professional arranger? Someone that changes stuff around. What's the difference between that and an amateur arranger? Same thing. You do the same thing. Just one calls themselves a professional arranger, one calls themselves an amateur. What's the difference? Nothing. You're using the features of the instrument to create the arrangement. All right? So the music calls for playing that through, all right, to the second ending. And then we come across our third setup here. Now, the third setup, I did make a change in the instrumentation, and I changed the band around a little bit. So let's see, I'll play it towards the end here. Now listen closely. All right, put a slide trombone. Now, it's not just any trombone. Where is it? There we go. It's a Tommy trombone combined with a flugelhorn. Yes. Kind of mellow it out a bit and make it bright all at the same time. All right. This is on the third setup now. Yes. So I switch from the clarinet to trombone. Now the trombone's cool because you can take your hand if you want to stay in the position you're playing at. Let's see. I'm on trombone colon Tommy. Let me put it back so I can see. I look like a tiny little box. All right. So I'm usually, you can play it here, but the way I have the organ transposed, you can play it in any position that you like. So if you like it there, great. Sometimes I play it here, and sometimes I'll play it here. I lost my spot here. Oh, because it's not there. So you can do that. You bring it up an octave. You give it kind of you almost kind of create a trumpet sound that's not so bright. Because the trombone's pretty mellow. If you play it up an octave, it gives it obviously a brighter sound, but it's still got that mellow tone to it. All right. Now, with the background style, I did make a change to that. So in the background, all I did is I turned on a drum variation. Now listen to the second setup. Listen to the drummer. Now listen to the third setup. The drummer just changes a little bit. That little bit of that little change coupled with a melody sound change automatically turns you into a professional arranger. Now anybody who has a drum variation can reach up and push drum variation. Yes? Anybody that has, most, I think actually even our beginner's basic model has a trombone sound in it. Most organs have a clarinet and a trombone. Okay? Not everybody has a drum variation. If you don't, that's okay. Switch to the trombone sound. Make a change, in other words. Okay? Now before I go on to the next setup, do I have any questions? Any questions whatsoever? Look at all the serious faces on the screen there. Owen, you look like you're really concentrating there. I'm going to tell Gail you're going to be quizzed on this next week. All right, so we go. You can play it in either octave if you like. You can bring it up to. You can actually do both. One of the other things that I do a lot, and I end up doing it so much that it almost becomes part of the arrangement, but originally I did it because I always have to concentrate on the next part of the song. I don't just go into it very smoothly. So when I go from that end of that first page, that second setup, to the third page, where I'm going to play that part, because I'm making a change in my sound, even though I have a preset already done for me, that transition to the next part of the song, for some reason, I always have to think a little bit. And look at the chords you're dealing with here. These aren't chords that you normally play, probably. You got B flat minor, you know, D minor, B flat on this next page. But that first one, that B flat minor, it's not a usual chord for me to play. I mean, how many songs have a B flat minor? Not the ones I play. You always have them? Well, I'm going to stay away from your songs. I'm going to stay away from your songs. They're too hard for me. We got a professional student here that, you know, B flat minor. That's a piece of cake. But it's not even that. It's the melody, a couple of the chord, the change in the song. So a lot of times I have to think a little bit and get myself ready. So you know what I do? What, you ask? No, what, you ask? Does anybody want to know out there in virtual land? I do. She didn't hear it. I use the fill-in. And I'll hold that fill-in long enough that works for me. And in some cases, what's happened is I've done it so much that way that it's almost become part of the arrangement. Now, here's another thing for you. So if you're using Cabaret, it's going to give you a different fill than the Vegas Big Band. The Vegas Big Band will give you the Gene Krupa or Buddy Rich. And sometimes I do both, because what happens when I'm playing that first go around? On the second setup, is the drum variation on or off? Second preset, when did I turned on drum variation? No, is it off? It doesn't come on to number 3. Okay, so if you're using the Vegas Big Band, on number 1 and 2, the drum variation isn't on yet. Okay, now let me do a fill-in and listen to the drummer. Now let's put on the drum variation and listen to the fill-in now this time. Okay, Gene Krupa. So if you're using Vegas, actually either one, But if you have the presets programmed and you're using Vegas Big Band as an example, if you're holding the fill-in that entire time, you don't have the drum variation on, you're going to get a fill-in some way, and while you're holding, if you go to the next setup, then it's going to change. And this really applies to any style that you're using. So if I was using the Cabaret as an example, and then the drummer does something a little bit different. The Vegas Big Band is going to sound like this. Okay. Buddy Rich. Now while I'm holding it and I'm changing it and I'm looking at the music and I'm getting set up, it almost sounds like I'm doing it on purpose, and it goes from Buddy Rich to Gene Krupa. And when do you come back in? When you feel like it. You might want to make that as part of it. Now I'm using my fingers, but if I was playing, I would use my foot switch because I need my fingers to move around. So it'd be something like this. Fill in. Number 3. But originally I did that because I was always having a hard time with the transition from that part of the song to the next. And I just made it so that I made that part of the arrangement, and I actually liked it. Yes. It doesn't say FX anywhere, or does it? Oh, it says it right before 5, but I didn't tell you to do it right before 3, did I? Well, I can't give you all the answers in advance. I did that intentionally. So somewhere after right around, see on your second setup, actually I would put the fill in right before number 3. The question, I'm sorry folks, so in Virtual Land the question was where do I do the fill? All right, on that part of the song I would do the fill starting on the second page right before A3. See where it says A3? See the F chord right before it? I would put it right there. Nope, as long as you want. I don't know how many measures. I did 8 measures. You put FX or fill in, okay? And the length of time really depends on you. If you're either one, especially if you're using the Vegas Big Band, because there's a lot of things happening with the drummer. You may purposely do it for 12 measures because you like what you're hearing. They're changing. You may make that part arrangement. Or maybe you're just doing it long enough so you can change your sound, get ready, and then get ready to start playing the song. So there is no right answer to that. There is. The right answer is when you feel like going to the next part. Okay? And the next part becomes, like I said, you take that style and we have the drum variation on and we go to the trombone sound and you play that. And the good thing about this particular song that I'm featuring today, I'm not doing any fancy start here, end here. I'm playing the song as it's written as far as where to play and go and so forth. So if you have your music here, I think I have it right here. So you play the first page like it says, and then when you get here, you go to your second setup like I told you, you repeat, and you do that, and you get a nice subtle building of the arrangement. And then right here, because you're on the second setup, it tells you to go to the second ending, and right there is where I would put the fill in. And you kind of add a bunch of measures in there. As many measures as you want. You hold the fill in as long as you want. And when you're ready, then you go to the third setup. The third setup with the trombone sound. Now, you play the song. It tells you to play it here. By the way, in here, Sometimes I'll miss a chord or two in here. Nobody ever notices. I'm just telling you. Now see this 5? You don't do that yet. You don't. I'm getting there. But you're on this page here. You're not doing 5 yet. That'll come back around. So this page that I'm playing the first time through as it's written, I'm still on my 3rd setup. Okay? Oops, what's it doing? So you're playing through. See, I'm playing through, playing here, and then I get to here. And then right here, there's the 4th setup. And it says play these 3 notes, right? And it tells you to go back to the coda, which is right here. You'll notice that these 3 notes are very similar to this. Yeah, right here. So on the last page, you're still on setup 3. When you get right here, I would probably tell yourself add a fill in here as well. Yes, because you need I like a fill in because I need time to change. I'm going to put fill in / FX. Oops. Fill / FX. Whatever organ you have, same difference. And how long do you hold it? As long as you need to change. If you have the presets, oops, okay, let me go back here. So I hold the fill in here. This is great because you're holding a note and you're holding a fill in. You want to switch to your next preset because the next preset here is not a trombone anymore. I do something totally different. All right? And how long do you hold it? Again, hold it as long as you need to. All right? But right here, I play those 3 notes, da, 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 and it goes right back to here. You'll see it kind of ties in. Yeah, see how these 3 notes are? Now look at it over here. They're kind of the same. Okay? So they are, because it fits and it brings you right back to here. Okay? And then you play it through. Okay? Now, again, hold fill long enough to change. Especially here. All right? But let me tell you what sound I'm using on the 4th setup. Are you ready? All right. Sean's not ready. Are you ready, Sean? Okay. Maybe he is. Okay. So, oh, I need my music.
It seemed like you really like coming back. Come drink the wine. Come taste the wine part.
What's that, Jerome?
It seemed like you really like coming back to the come taste the wine part.
Come taste the wine. There's always a smart aleck on, isn't there? No, actually, I'm just doing it because that's what the song says to do. I'm just doing what I'm told, Jerome. All right. So, 3rd setup. I'll play it towards the. Let's see. Here we go. Before I do my 4th setup, I'm going to do a fill in. And then go to my 4th setup. Now, but notice where I play the notes. Okay. Now, what do I do there? You heard all the changes, but what I did was I also I took away the trombone, and all I did was simply a 16 and an 8-foot strings, okay? And then if you have in your orchestral a string ensemble 1, most of you, actually I'm looking at all of you in the class here. I don't know about out there because I can't see a bunch of faces, but most of you have strings in your orchestral, okay? But I also put on just a nice good old classic AOC. Sometimes a 4-part harmony works as well, a harmony, okay? Some of the models call it trio, some models call it AOC, some models, and then there's a 4-part harmony, just a harmony that does 3 notes or more, okay? Now I also play it up here. Now, the reason why I like playing it here is because I'm using the 16 and the 8, and the 16 is a relatively lower string sound, okay? And because I transpose it down 3/2 steps, I play it up here with a harmony. It doesn't sound so shrill. And so remember earlier I said the reason why I transpose it down, I'll tell you later, that's one of the reasons why, okay? The next setup is another reason why as well. So that's the Vegas Big Band version. If you want to do the same thing with the Cabaret version, let's see. Fill in. So works very nicely. Now, make a note. If you are using the Cabaret style, if you're using the Vegas Big Band style, don't change anything with the drummers and the alto styles, okay? If you're using Cabaret, turn off drum variation and put on alto style. For preset 4, I'm not on 5 yet. Yeah, I'm not doing anything with 5 yet. So on number 4, I have 16 and 8-foot strings if you have the yellow tabs. Also, in the orchestral, most people have a string ensemble of some sort. I'm using one called String Ensemble 1. What's that? Okay, if you're using the Vegas Big Band, you don't do anything with the background. If you're using Cabaret, alto style on, drum variation off. Okay? Now.
Robert?
Yes.
Do you turn the drum variation on and where the A5 is in the second verse?
I haven't gotten to 5 yet, but I'll tell you what to do.
Oh,
okay.
Okay.
Well, this is still number 4. So number 4 is going to be 16 and 8-foot yellow string tabs or string ensemble in the orchestral and a harmony. I like AOC or 4-part. If you're using a Vegas Big Band rhythm, don't do anything with drum variation. Leave it the way it was, whatever the last setup was. If you're using Cabaret, then you want to turn on alto style and then turn off drum variation. Okay, this is all 4 still. Okay, and you're only going to play that for a very short time. Now, I encourage, and when you're making these changes, and I've been saying this for years, always set up the organ in advance first, and then when you play it, you just push 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay? If I had to make these changes while I was playing the song, you'd be sitting here a while before one change happened. You're like, what song was he playing again? I forgot. Oh, okay. Now, what I like to do on the 5th setup is finish with a bang, something big. Okay? And so, here's the what I'm going to tell you first with the rhythm. If you're using Vegas Big Band, you should have like two versions. If you're using Vegas Big Band, you want to turn on, you want to make sure alto style and drum variation are both on at this point. If you're using Cabaret, guess what? Same thing. You want them both on. What's going to happen is the band's going to view this big splash and there's cymbals and there's all sorts of things going. It's like finale. It screams finale. All right? Big. But the sound that I'm going to use on the upper keyboard is a brass section. All right? The band is going to take care of this big sound. Here's number 4. Now here's number 5. Okay, you hear that? I mean, there's like, hey, yeah. Okay, it almost feel like, hey, big. And all I did was simply have a brass section. Okay, and it's simply called brass : section if you're looking up for it. All right, and 16-foot strings, because brass by itself, it's okay. But when you add the strings, it kind of soothes it out a little bit. Doesn't make it so harsh. And remember, I transposed down 3/2 steps too, so it's not going to sound as high. And I use one special harmony. If you have it, use it. Okay? It's called octave. Okay, that's not a harmony that gets used a lot. And all it does is it takes this, takes it to make it sound like this without the harmony. This is what it'll sound like. And so what happens is, because I'm playing it here, it takes one of the sounds and brings it down an octave, and it gives it that low end tone so it doesn't sound so bright to the ears. And you end up finishing with a big sound. It takes the brass sound in that example. It'll take the brass, and it doesn't just take it down an octave. When you're playing one note, what it's doing is this. It's doing this. That's not easy to do sitting down or standing up. And you're doing it with one note, it's going to make it sound like that while you're playing one finger. Features. Some of you had a chance to see Marco recently. He does that all the time, his pianos. And somehow his fingers, they lock in place, and he can do that. A lot of times when I play, I'll start off that way, and then halfway through it's like one note's right, one note's wrong. I'm like, I know I locked my fingers in place, and they somehow never just works that way. So I just cheat, and I use the octave. So I can try it without. Or I could just put on the octave and... Or you can do that, and it'll do it with one finger and play it with one note. All right? Any questions? It's even quiet over here. I thought I gave a simple arrangement today. Any questions out there? Okay, the question I was just asked, on my arrangement on my USB, do I have the Vegas Big Band arrangement or the Cabaret? And the answer is yes. Yes. But I will tell you, I've been tweaking it a little bit. So if you brought a stick, don't take it now. Wait. Because it's not going to be... I did some changes as I went on the balances and so forth, yeah. So don't take it today. All right? But it'll be available in 2 days. Thursday. Anytime after Thursday, yes. All right? Any other questions out there? Now, what I will also tell you is that in the pursuit of always acquiring Patreon members, hey, Sean, while I'm getting ready to screen share, Tell everybody what Patreon is, will you?
Patreon's great. It's a
How
just
great
way
is
to
it?
support our business. What'd you say?
How great is it?
Very great.
Amazing.
See that? It's very great.
Puts all our stuff in one place. You can browse through our whole collection of goodies.
Can
And
can you
yeah,
talk
get
a
a lot
little
of extra stuff.
browse?
What's that?
Can you talk a little bit how you browse? It seems different now. How to browse through the, say, let's say I want to go back and find all the Roberts songs of the month.
So here is here's Patreon. This is me logged into my account because I'm a Patreon member too. I pay money every month to myself, and it goes somewhere. But so if you don't do anything and you just start from scratch, it always puts the newest on top, and you can see there's an option here. It says newest to oldest. You can sort oldest to newest. I'm going to leave it there. But if I want to see all the posts from Robert Roman, the great
Yes.
Robert Roman, you can go here. There's a couple search options. If you go here, there's a list of what we call tags. Sometimes it's hard to find because there's a lot of tags. There might be one that says Robert Roman in here. But if I don't want to go
It
through all
was
that, I'll
it was
just
up
search
toward the
for
top
post.
because
Huh?
it goes by how many tags there are. Since you're tagged on so many, you're up kind of toward the top there.
Oh, there I am, Robert Roman. So you can click that, and then what'll happen is it'll, what the heck? What was I doing there?
That's a good look.
I was yelling at somebody in the screen. Anyway, so you
Mhm.
could see all of the things that I do. Let's make sure I change my shirt and tie a lot here. Okay. All right. I don't want to look like I wear the same outfit all the time. But anyway, so you could see. Now
I see.
here's the trick here. What a lot of times happens is people don't clear that off. So there's you might want to sometimes, oh, right up here, you want to clear filters. What happens is someone will search for something and they forget to clear the filter.
That's
And then they have a hard time finding stuff. Right here, there's a clear filters option. Boop.
okay.
And then
That's
you do that and it goes, that's the mistake. It took me a while to figure that one out. I was like, why can't I find anything? And then, or you can search here too by typing a name. So if you want Sean Maloney, and you have to spell it right. I've had, and I say that because we had someone looking for Sean and they spelled it SHAW and it did recognize it. So keep that in mind too. So you can see here's all those ones with Sean in it. Now I don't know why we have Sean in here with Joe, but somehow we tagged Sean. Oh, he must. Oh, he was part of an event, an all-star event. Okay. So anyway, so there's a couple ways you can do song of the month. You know, song of the. Let's see what happens. And then you can go through all my song of the months.
Okay, great.
Okay, and all of them. Song of the month, by the way, is the only one that I provide the music. And that's why I put them up there at no charge when I do. You cannot search. Well, you might be able to search by song because then it'll. A lot of times I put the song title in the name of the description of the video. So let me just see. Can't help. Let's see what happens if it shows up. Oh, look at that. Can't help falling in love. So.
Okay.
And then if you want the music, it says right here, Can't Help Falling in Love Music, revised. And then you do that, and it puts it in this download here. And then, boop, opened it up. And there you go. There's the notes and the et cetera, et cetera. So it's really a great tip. It's really a great tool.
Right.
Because every Zoom thing we record, even if we don't think it's good, we put it up there. All right. About 30% of that information is available on YouTube. Patreon has everything. Okay. So when I'm done with this class, as I was teaching it, I noticed some things that I wanted to sound a little bit different, better. I was making those changes. So now I'm going to save them onto the USB. I'm going to work on it, type up the stuff so that when I post it, you'll have what I taught today and you'll have the presets as well. Okay. And if you're locally, you can bring your stick in. But you have to say, I'm a Patreon member. All right. So with that said, I'm going to finish up with, I'll do it the Cabaret version. Um, okay, the question, I had a good question. The question was, if I bring my USB stick in, does it work on every organ? The answer is no, but we know which ones they are and which ones they aren't. So for example, sometimes I'll purposely put an arrangement together and I'll put it on the lowest A model um, that I can make changes. So anything above it will work, obviously, and then anyone below it. Now sometimes I'm kind of restricted in some of the songs that I use because there's only one rhythm style. But like for example, today's song, I use the Vegas Big Band and Cabaret. Originally, when I learned the song, I learned it using the Vegas Big Band rhythm. And before that, I actually used the Big Band rhythm, I forget what it was called years ago. But because Vegas Big Band is on most models, I have that arrangement, and then not everybody has Cabaret. So that way you have one or the other. Okay? So in most cases, yes, but there's obviously some exceptions to the rule from time to time. Some of my presets, I'll put both a prestige version and a sterling version or a symphony version on there, and I'll label it, and I'll tell people, if you have a prestige, don't use the B bank, because if you do, it'll try to pull something from an organ that doesn't exist, and it'll lock up, or sometimes it'll make a loud bang, and it doesn't break, it just sounds like it's doing something bad, and you have to reset it. And I found out the hard way. One time I used a rhythm, like a faster Latin beat or something, and I tried putting it into a prestige as an example, and that rhythm didn't exist. And you know what it gave me? It took a fast 140 tempo Latin style, I think it was that, and it turned on basic big band at 80. It had nothing to do with it, and it was just the computer got confused, and that's what it chose. Stuff like that will happen too. So anyway, I'll play it one time through. I started off with the Vegas Big Band, but I'll also finish it today using the Cabaret version. Let me get it set up with the F7. Start off with my Fake It. Yeah, that's not too bad. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Hold the applause, please. Well, there you have it, folks. Don't forget, tomorrow, 1 o'clock Arizona, 4 p.m. Eastern, Sean Maloney and Robert Roman kicking off the Lowry Virtual Spectacular. What is that all about, you ask? Show up and find out. It's a lot of music and a lot of goodies. All right, well, thank you so much. And as always, stay safe, play music, and mwah! See you real soon. See you tomorrow.
Robert.
You're welcome. Thank you.